Hi guys, Jake and MJ, back again for more live reactions to Power Rangers Beast Morphers. Beast Morphers. We don't need these glasses. Throwing them away.
Go Busters.
Right. The Power Rangers Go Busters.
It was Go Busters.
Hey. We are here. We are alive. Everything's doing okay. We're having a little issue with this laptop. I don't know what's going on with our usual chat laptop. It just decided to not do any of the things. So I'm checking to see if there's anything else I can do to make it so that you can access the chat separately. But we still can see the chat here over here, so that is good. So hopefully everyone has had a good week.
Hey Sheree, hey Cody.
Yep, I think I saw
Nerdy's back, Sir Paladin.
Ranger Vision.
Athena,
Daniel.
Scott.
Looks like we got a good collection going.
We got lots of people here today.
Because I was always a little nervous when we shake up the schedule, move things to Sunday. Este, the A Games, wonderful to see you all.
Yes, and we'll be back to Saturdays next week.
Alright, so looks like maybe this one might be working. So, maybe. Don't know.
Maybe.
This computer is being very disagreeable at the moment. I likely have too many things open.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Nerdy.
I'm glad to hear that it is somehow also good news.
Yeah.
Hopefully it stays that way. Seems to be having a little bit of a lag going on there. Not quite sure why.
I don't suppose it ended because you suddenly got eloped or anything like that. That would make it good.
Okay. So hopefully all is doing okay. So next week is going to be
I can always bring it up on this.
That is true.
They just yell at me when they see me on my phone because they think it's not chat related.
But yeah, I don't know what's going on with this computer right now and why it won't seem to load anything. It's very disorienting. So we are coming up on the end of August. We are at the midway point. Things are flying through fast. And I know we're coming up on the 27th anniversary of Power Rangers and the 5th anniversary of our marriage, which is going to be very nice. So yeah, next week we will be back to our usual scheduled times of Saturday, because Sunday's going to be our anniversary. I know there's other things that are going to be conflicting there potentially. Hopefully we'll still be able to see you guys, because this is going to be a fairly major episode of Beast Morphers, to my understanding, coming up next.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it is August already.
It is halfway through August. I'm already working out plans for how the school year is kicking back off. I've been hard at work at making things happen with episode 90 of Power Reviews. I've been making good progress. There's still a few more things that need to be set in motion before I can be certain of, like, pacing on things. But I do have a pretty good idea of when I may be able to release 90.
Your bear got second billing?
This is a Power Rangers channel. I was talking about the Power Rangers things first. Hey, Dad. How you doing?
Hi, Mr. Brody.
So, yes, we have a celebrity in the chat tonight, it seems, where he gets to witness all of our technical issues and everything else.
Did we see the Hasbro's fan first Friday?
I did. Yes, it was fine. It
was fine.
I was not expecting much by way of breaking news, simply because the Power Rangers fan base is so good at researching what's coming out at any given time that, of course, we always know weeks before anything is announced. So, anything that comes out through an official channel, we've already known for weeks. It was nice to get a little bit of a closer look at the figures that are coming out, but
Hey, no going
it's
to
not
sleep.
tremendously surprising that they just decided to focus on the next wave of things that people have already found in certain corners.
Apparently, Fan First Friday is keeping up the proud tradition of revealing all the stuff that was already leaked hours
Yes.
before the event.
Yes. So that's been pretty funny. So yeah, unfortunately, it looks like this laptop is just not.
It's not playing ball today.
It's not wanting to do YouTube today. Not sure why.
Right, so I'll be modding off this.
Yeah, so we'll have to go back to the phone for today. Yeah, things are just frozen up right now.
So I won't be posting as Database Rangers Power Reviews. I'll be as Manny as Jane, but I do have mods like Back does, so
yeah,
we're all good.
So I'll just keep an eye on this, see if anything changes, but I'm not.
But in the meantime,
betting on too many things.
We gonna watch us some Power Rangers. Although we do have a couple of things to say first.
Yes, our three standard opening statements we must not forget about.
Totally non-controversial.
These are all things that we should all consider equally non-controversial. Number 1. Say it with me, chat.
Black Lives Matter.
Number 2.
Fascism is bad.
And number 3. Superheroes are
cool. Fun.
Cool.
Robots are cool.
At the end.
Superheroes are fun. I'm always getting those two mixed up.
So, each time that you guys join in with us, thank you very much. Every time that you guys join in on that, we very much appreciate it.
I do have the power in my hands, and who on earth?
There we go.
Automod is being awful. I had to release Ranger Vision's statement.
No, I got that going.
Stupid Automod.
Thank you very much to everyone joining in.
Yes.
All right. So, time to kick off episode. Which one are we on now? We are on. We are so far in here. We are on.
Man, that is your job.
Episode. I wanted to double check. 36. It's been flying by. Episode 36 of Power Rangers Beast Morphers Making Bad.
Someone likes to make television references.
Indeed.
You want to come up? You're welcome to come up.
And come on there.
Oliver is down by
and
the feet
play.
staring at me.
Dun dun. Oh my.
They survived, or they got re-reanimated.
No, they didn't get destroyed last time. They just retreated.
Spiders.
Ooh. How many more relics do they have here?
The monsters we've reanimated so far aren't anything special.
Ooh.
Rude.
That is rude.
Quiet. Get to your point, Squirtle. I found a way to use Ryjack's reanimizer so the clones come back even more powerful than before.
Really?
We just add strong gemstones to the mix when we reanimize them. Gemstones? Diamonds and rubies! I like the sound of that.
Oh, Poisandra, it's great to see you again.
And my new Robotron has already begun stealing diamonds.
What? You got a bunch of diamonds there.
Oh, they're just divine. So far, I only have enough diamonds to create one clone, but Thieftron will bring us more soon.
Thieftron.
These
Oh.
old records
This is
will
a
help
lot
us
of
decide who
diamonds.
to bring back to life first. I'm thinking Korag, the Night Wolf. He's cold and
Nice.
ruthless.
They're debating who to bring it back, and so we're getting clip shows of old villains. Nice.
I like Korag.
Nice.
Well, I'm glad you're here too, Brawlhorn. Industrial grade diamonds? Industrial grade diamonds don't usually sparkle that much because they're not cut into facets.
Here we go. Finally got it up in the other browser seems to work. There we go.
Okay.
Korag turned into a good guy.
He did.
Look at this.
Since you have proven to be a worthy
This
opponent,
is-
I will grant you a swift end.
Lambo, stop!
This is really interesting.
Interesting clip show.
Child.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your son, buddy.
We've never really had a villain clip show
Have we
in
had
this
a
way.
previous season's clip show?
Well, we had Legacy of Power in Dino Thunder, but here we're actually getting
He's a ranger.
a clip show of villains from the past.
Yeah, so maybe don't bring that.
And you know what? Considering that next week is our anniversary, I think that starting off with Korag is very
Our
appropriate.
first date was to his basement to watch the premiere of Power Rangers Mystic Force.
Yep, which we got to see that little clip of right there. So that's definitely a nice throwback for us.
Terrible choice.
You all need to pick carefully, or you'll have to answer to me.
Of course, Master.
Figure it out.
This is slightly ridiculous.
Honor is honorable.
Whatever this is,
Honor.
still waiting for you to upgrade me so I can eat and drink, bro.
Yep, you've only mentioned it 8,000 times.
Well, you should get on it, dude. He wants that experience.
The incident is the third burglary this week. In every
Hey.
case, the robber has stolen diamonds.
Hey, Mrs.
Mrs. Reeves.
Or Ms. Reeves, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Witnesses were standing
Mama
in the
Reeves.
room at the time of the robbery.
I see Zoe's mom again.
Could he be invisible?
Invisible?
Could he be invisible?
Evox has got to be behind it somehow.
Yeah, if it's invisible, it probably is Evox.
Yeah. I just love that
There's a
in
pattern
They had to dub over the clips because of legal reasons.
mm,
Albert's Gems, Bright
Were we both already Power Rangers fans before meeting? Not really.
A, B,
Jake was a big Power Rangers fan.
that can't be a
I was someone who watched it back in the
Yeah.
day
Good old
and dropped
Muriel.
out around when we lost Billy.
Diamonds of Distinction is
Yeah.
just around the corner from here. Maybe we should, check it out.
Yeah.
In case it's the next target.
But I love that the Power Rangers universe is a place where it's totally reasonable for a reporter to just speculate about a thief having the power of invisibility.
Yeah, each ranger does only have one parent, but that's still puts
Except for one that we just got a highlight on.
Except I
Except
think
for
they
Nick.
meant this
Princess of
season.
Evil
This is true.
herself.
But I was gonna say that puts them ahead of most rangers.
This is her gauntlet. She's cunning, wicked, and she'll crush the Rangers.
She also became a ranger. You just had that criticism of Korag, who didn't even technically become a ranger. He became a ranger-like ally. But
Well,
also,
here we
nice
go.
callbacks. I'm loving these.
It's
Ooh.
Perone!
What did they do to you?
Hasbro dubbed over the clips. People
Dark
don't like the
Spectre's
voices.
Revenge.
Astronomer.
So apparently all of the voices are dubbed over.
Strange.
I like her style.
How could Astronomer be reanimated if she's not dead?
Yeah.
You should know from Ranger History class that astronomer turned good, too.
Yeah, apparently you guys had Ranger History class too, just like the rest of them. Yeah. Roxy. Like, if you were going... Oh, classic. Like, if you were going to suggest, like, a classic female villain, like...
Look at this.
No, Nate's parents have been mentioned.
Yeah.
In fact, we know he has two, and they're not here right now.
Yeah, Nate's parents are overseas. But yeah, there's Trakina. Trakina's a perfect example of an irredeemable villain that you could totally have focused on to reanimate. That being said...
Does Trakina's stuff in the box?
Oh, what is with these villains becoming little goody two-shoes?
Oh, that's adorable.
You're all forgetting the baddest baddie.
What
Which
are
one?
you talking about,
Zed?
Scrabble?
Mezagog?
The one,
Venjix?
the only.
Lord Zed,
Zeddykins!
Also, we're going to rule
who
the universe.
did also get turned good.
But only by the wave of whatever. He didn't have a real heel-based turn.
This is just great, though.
Yeah, Rita Repulsa, also evil.
I'm
Also
love
only turned by the Zordon wave.
technically. Oh yeah, they are very much shoving over everyone. Like,
They
oof.
got it kind of close with some of them, but that doesn't sound like Zed at all.
As you get.
Come on, guys, you can't dub over Robert Axelrod.
But human
He was a legend.
heartbeat.
Oh, come on.
Yes, F in the chat for Robert Axelrod.
Oh right, wow, you can't trust Zed.
You a little gift.
Think of it as a peace offering.
What is up with these dubs?
Still closer than frickin'
Yes,
Zed.
got to go. Good luck now. Catch you on the flip side.
Why the dubbing?
Legal reasons, according to the chat.
Young Sprocket really gets a bang out of his
How do you? What sort of legal reasoning could you have for not being able to use those voices?
Poor robots. What a slime of it.
Yeah, I don't want that guy on my team.
Hey, at least he had a nice wedding with Rita.
Oh, Rita and Zed's wedding was better than all y'all's.
Poison.
How How many of you got your hands on that 2-pack yet?
Yeah, I love that they're... That right there, that's merchandising synchronicity right there.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Well, except that this didn't actually come out just now.
I know, but it's still close to when it was... It would have been out at the time.
Yeah, it probably has to do with...
Yep. And I knew that they were using the loop and rod for this.
It has to do with, like...
Power Rangers.
Residuals and actors' rights.
Go, go, Power Rangers. Go. Go. It's morphin' time. For justice we fight. With Beast Morphin' might. Together we rise. Go, go, Power Rangers. Go, go, Power Rangers. Power Rangers Beast Morphers.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
residuals and rights kind of thing.
But even so, it's like...
I mean, it probably makes sense for reasons. Like, they would... I'm guessing there's some sort of a rule that lets you use archival footage without the audio.
Yeah.
But they wanted to make it like they were using the audio, so they overdubbed it.
It's very strange.
In other words, they did it to get out of paying actors. Probably.
Which is
Bring back Drax.
still nonsense, because you're just paying new actors.
Well, they could have got... I'm guessing that some of these actors were... A lot of these...
It's just a really weird way to skip money on a show that they have been willing to pay for things for.
Because the worst dubs were the American footage.
Yeah.
As opposed to New Zealand footage. So it could be a legalities thing. They can keep the Mystic Force audio. I'm thinking it's got to do... Exactly. I'm thinking it's got to do with the legalities of the American actors versus when they were working in New Zealand.
I've got to wonder what could prevent them from using Robert Axelrod.
Yes, Chris, we discussed that at the beginning of the video.
Yes. Just because...
Rights to the voices or rights to the background music, but they couldn't separate because they didn't have the vocal masters. Mystic Force is redubbed too, but they got Liam Bo's actor back.
Oh, okay, so I could see, I could understand if there was music in the background of the original footage and they wanted to lay in new music and they couldn't separate it. Okay, that's a production standpoint that I can understand, as opposed to a legal standpoint.
Yes, I do remember who Thrax is.
Yes.
And there's no way Jake's going to forget. That's a reason to call him the database right there.
Yes. Also, like, technically speaking, if that staff was going to reanimize anyone, it should be Thrax, because he was the one who had it last.
It's true.
Nice. Oof.
Ouchie.
You Rangers really know how to steal so much thunder.
Yeah, and you really know how to steal diamonds.
Nice. Yep. That monster did not last long.
I wonder what Scrozzle wanted those diamonds for.
I don't know.
That's got to make
Unless
a
you
really
return
good
to the
nerf
store.
gun, though.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Here you go.
Hey, did you see the news? Yeah, probably.
But yeah,
You were right all along.
seriously, if you're gonna reuse the footage, just reuse the audio. Even if the music can't match.
Is it Lord Zed's staff? I remembered having tape on it. Kind of, that's what I said. Because there's
I think
actually
they
a
must have
picture of
refurbished
Jake holding Zed's staff with the tape
That is true.
at the Nickelodeon Studios.
No, it wasn't Nickelodeon Studios, it was at Saban
Of
Brands.
Saban Brands. When you visited that one time.
Yes.
And I was like, there is duct tape on this. She is still on about the wedding.
It's beautiful. Well, they didn't get...
Did they ever get married?
No, they are married in this continuity.
Okay.
It was the old versions of them that got destroyed.
It's the ultimate jackpot.
Zed's apparently a robot list, so that's why they don't bring him back.
Hey, Scrozzy, why don't you send out one of your giant...
He's a robot.
It's not the music not matching,
Prejudice.
it's not wanting to pay for
your
music.
Robotron.
The residuals on the background music? Really?
That's tough, Carrie.
I mean, apparently residuals on background music cost an awful lot because isn't that how Saban made his fortune with the background music of kids' cartoons?
But did Hasbro not get the rights to the background music? Like, did they get screwed over the same way that Disney got screwed over? Because if so, that's nonsense. Come on. How can you pull that same trick twice?
That's a Saban. That is so Saban. The dude made his fortune on background music.
How about one of the Psycho Rangers?
Ooh. Wow, you're just going hard on the Legacy on the Lightning collection here right now, huh?
Psycho Red.
Now that's an option.
Oh, you know, that is kind of a... Wait, we don't have a Corone, do we?
We don't. Not yet.
Is there a Limbo?
No, not yet. Although they are both in Legacy Wars.
How did Disney get screwed over, Jake?
Oh, they didn't get the residual rights to the music when they bought Power Rangers.
So, like, they could use the music from their own seasons, but not from any seasons previous.
Yeah.
Which is why when Mighty Morphin Rangers turned back up for that team-up, it had
He was
weird music.
obsessed with
Yeah.
destroying a Red Ranger. And then, well, show us, Scrozzle.
But I assumed when Hasbro bought the entire franchise.
Oh, Portuguese joke. Saban sounds like soap. He's a slippery fella.
Yes.
I like it. I like it. Now, they never turned good, so
No.
that's a good candidate.
I'm amazed they have the data card as the prop.
What would you expect them to have?
It's just so cool to have like these little random props.
It's probably whatever they
I mean,
actually have.
to be fair, it makes no sense for them to have Corone's cyber hand, which disappeared when she turned good. So none of it really makes sense.
Like I said, it's probably what they actually had in the drop slot.
Yeah.
Like what they actually inherited. That's what they used.
These tubs are so bad.
Terrible. It wasn't so bad at first. I mean, but apparently Liambo actually redubbed his own stuff, so that's why he didn't sound so weird.
I'd have to listen more closely on it. Because
That's
we do
what the
talk.
chat said.
Okay.
I don't. I'm trusting the chat.
Well, to be fair,
Are we sure the music was the reason? Because we had the Dino Church stock music in the previous episode. When they...
By the same thieves.
well, Dino Chart.
Oi, Sonic!
I hope you catch the guy. Let's go, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, let's get in position.
Yeah, no spoilers, dude. So,
It's only a 300-second timeout. You can talk again when it's over.
yep. Just want to make sure you don't accidentally type any more spoilers, and then we'll talk to you again soon.
300 seconds is not that long.
Yep.
That's why I have it set on 300 seconds. It's very 700.
That's cute. I do like just how much love they've put into these villains. Like Sledge's crew, they really have been playing into. But yeah, no, they do have the rights, presumably, to other past seasons' music.
But there's no diamonds for you. Only destruction.
So I don't know. I don't believe that could be a rights issue.
How dare you leave without telling Sledge?
Pish posh. A lady can do as she likes.
These
You
villains.
don't own her!
These villains, they really leaned into just they have so much of that Mighty Morphin type of personality to them, and it's great.
Let's take them out, Steel.
How far are we in the episode? I think we just came back from commercial break.
Yeah, we just kicked off the Zord battle. Oh,
Wait, what?
It's
yeah,
hard
he
to
just
tell
stole your
what
weapon.
music. Yeah, he stole your weapon.
See,
And he's using them against us.
What did you think he was going to do after he stole them?
it's become a classic Power Rangers trope at this point to state the obvious.
Don't worry, we can bring you back up.
Oh.
Transport Beast King activator.
Interesting.
We're bringing the
That's.
blues. The big
I knew
fight.
something was about to happen because I'm like, that is original footage of Nate in the cockpit.
We're bringing in the blue line.
Because they have an alternate means of commanding him in the American footage.
The Ranger would never let go of their weapon.
Protects its pride.
Yes, Vargoyle has been destroyed twice.
Yes.
Vargoyle is not in this episode.
Gargoyle has been destroyed at this point.
He was destroyed in he was destroyed first season, and then he was destroyed again in the episode where Ryjack was introduced. Intruder alert. But we are watching Making
Thoughts
Bad
on the
right now.
dubbed voices?
Not
good.
a fan
And
of the
getting
dubbing.
progressively worse.
Honestly, nothing has been worse than the fake Zed.
No, that's true. But like, it was okay during Mystic Force. It wasn't too bad during Space. And then when it hit Mighty Morphin, it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Ooh.
You guys okay? Yeah, good timing.
Let's take these creeps down together.
This looks like it must be more from the Team Up movie. Probably a previous battle to the one that we utilized last time. Ooh, nice.
Very, very Force-like.
Ooh.
Feeling very Force-like. To Go Buster
Good
versus
fight.
Q-Ruger clip. Yeah.
You're no match for me.
For all of us, Steel. Well, it was nice to meet you.
And now we're back to America.
Beast X Ultra Blast.
Yep. Oh. Ooh.
The original MMPR audio files probably haven't aged well. They still would have sounded better than what we just heard.
We still don't know why they needed
They might have been degraded. That's a
Probably
possibility.
cooking something up. Let's hope not. Come on.
I mean, even then they were able to.
Okay,
do
Andros'
them
voice
in
was a little off. Yeah. Like I said,
Poor
it just
Sledge.
kept getting worse.
She was
A very evil woman.
No. Better than that. She was the most wicked of them all.
Poor Sledge. He's lost his wife.
Fail. But I have chosen the perfect villain to resurrect. Who is it? Someone
I love how you just weren't there for the whole thing. You decided to
destroy the Power Rangers.
that you made it.
Gamer Driver? Is that a...
Master Evox.
Oh, that's from
Kamen Rider thing?
Kamen Rider X8.
There you go. Nice, Shrek.
And Golda.
She's totally not coming back ever again. Yeah, she is.
You and your weapons are no match for me.
He's coming at us.
This is so awkward.
I mean, Goldar was pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Does anyone
for a time.
disagree with my choice?
No, Master. He's a fantastic choice.
Then get on with it, Scrozzle.
Right
Are we
away.
actually bringing Goldar?
Now, let me just add the diamonds to the reatomizer.
They got it.
You know what? I'll bet he comes back looking different
He does.
We should still get
because of the
one
diamonds.
extra powerful monster.
Wait, how do you know? Are you spoiled?
I have returned. Who is it that has given me new life? I am Evox, your new master.
I really wish they could have gotten
You
carried
by
in my hand.
undying loyalty. I bet I have more strength in my toenail than
Oh,
this
X8's actor has recovered from COVID-19. I'm glad he's recovered.
So they got a Mega Goldar.
Oh, please, I was joking.
Well-
You're no antique. You are the joke.
I
Whoa!
Oh, really?
Sledge
Really?
is joining Posey. Sledge is joining Posey.
Master Evox.
Wow.
Trust me, I've got big plans for you.
I did not see that coming. They just took out the... I was just talking about, oh, they really love these characters, and then they just boom, 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 you're all
Killed them all.
dead again.
And that he has a lot of weapons.
I should amend that. They love killing off those characters.
Over and over
We have no
and
idea
over.
what Evox's plan is. Maybe it wasn't
Is that
Evox at
a
all.
monster that is
Our
actually
Sandra had
from
very
Go
expensive
Busters?
taste.
That happens to look a lot like Goldar, or...
That does fit her
I-
profile.
I love how
Guess
they're...
we'll see. Right now, I have to practice my next video game.
Really?
So,
Oh, he still
Now
got
is
his
not the
promise.
time.
get a butt kicked.
All right. I'll do it.
Nice.
It wasn't even a bomb.
My butt is metal.
Your paladin is right.
Foot.
Oh.
What's so funny? Guys, my butt is made of metal.
That's true.
I mean, his butt is made of metal.
Up next on Pop, it's Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Really? Because that looks like Misty, and I don't think she was in Sun and Moon.
I have no idea.
At least he went out without a bomb.
Oh, that's interesting that this one actually has full credits in it. Most of them just played the credits over the final scene. Okay. So, I was a fan of a number of things of this episode. The dubbing, not so much. I really want to... That's good. You know that's got to be a question at the next PMC. I want to know what the actual story is behind.
Like, what is the deal?
Like, was it just that they
Misty
wanted...
was in Sun and Moon? Huh.
That they wanted the music to connect to the rest of the episode? Was it a rights issue? Why couldn't they use...
Sure as heck wasn't in the game when I played it.
Like, I could recognize, okay, you can't separate the voices from the music. I recognize that is something that you just can't do with that older footage.
Okay, yeah, actually, Ranger, we've completed the episode, so that's correct. Not a spoiler.
But I'm wondering if it was it they didn't want to use the old music because they wanted to make sure the soundtrack was consistent? Was it that they didn't have the rights to the old music? Was it that they didn't have, they didn't want to pay the old actors royalties? What was the reason that they need to do that redubbing?
So apparently, Korag, Gekor, and Jason, they were able to get back.
Okay.
And Rita's voice was provided by the actress who dubbed Mystic Mother in Mystic Force.
That's interesting.
Which is appropriate.
That is appropriate, although I would still rather have Barbara Goodson, but that is fair. Because I didn't have a chance to... Obviously, we just watched it. I haven't had a chance to
tweeted you
check
a
the
thread
credits.
that apparently has all of the information on Twitter.
Thank you. I will take a quick look at this.
Take a quick look at that.
Because that is some weird stuff. And really, like, guys, if you can use Robert Axelrod, use Robert Axelrod. Like, I don't know what was the reasoning.
Well, we're going to find out, because we got the tweet thread from Kyle Higgins, tweeted to us by Scott Sandler, according to...
Okay. So here's some insights from... Interesting that Kyle Higgins...
has the insight?
Has the insight. It's an old dialogue from earlier seasons. I put good money that on the original dialogue not being salvageable. They went through this on the... Only archived versions of the show contained the 4 channels of audio, full stereo, mono summation, Okay, yeah, you can't isolate the original dialogue. Fair.
The chat's asking you to retweet the thread.
Okay.
We'll get that retweeted in just a second.
I will retweet that right now.
Is Goodson still working? She get retired.
I'm not aware if she's retired or not. They don't seem to make the effort to get back old voice actors, which I always find disappointing. But I do recognize it's an issue.
What is this?
I did that like weeks ago.
I did not notice.
I pointed it out a few times.
Look at this.
It's not easy being blue. But yeah. Saying the so nobody knows where the what happened to the archived here's the thing though. It exists in a state that could be used for DVD releases. So yeah, you might not be able to do the sound mixing you want to do, but I still can't see why they couldn't have used the original clips with the existing footage, you know, the original pre-mixed track. Like, I recognize it's probably not going to be as smooth, and I can recognize you not wanting that incongruity with the music, because when you are using multiple clips, you know, the music's going to suddenly change from clip to clip.
Yes, we have seen that someone put Kim's head onto a Rita figure.
Yeah, I saw that
Apparently
on Twitter the other day.
Apparently it replicates that one scene.
Yeah, it was from, the Beauty and the Beast, I believe it was called Beauty and the Beast, or Beast and the Beauty, something like that. It was the episode where, Zed decided that he wanted a new queen, so he had Goldar capture Kimberly to become the new Rita Repulsa, because Rita was banished at the time. That was early in Season 2, before she came back and married Zed.
Doggy Bluger. Yes.
Do any of us sound the same as we did 25 years ago? I mean, if we were
It's more
recorded...
likely if you were an adult. I think they were talking about getting Barbara Goodson back.
She can still do the voice. She can
That's the
absolutely...
thing,
She
is
did the voice at Power Morphicon 2 years ago.
That's true. And what I was going to say is that although our voices change an awful lot when we're growing up, they do tend to stabilize in your 30s, so you're going to sound an awful lot the same until you start getting, like, really creaky and old.
Yeah.
Like,
and
between 30
and
45, no, 55. Between 30 and 55, those 25 years, you probably do actually sound the same.
But, yeah,
it's not until you're, like, 70 you start getting kind of creaky sometimes.
I'm still a little baffled by the choice to use... It would have been better to keep the old voices.
Yep. Bye, Cody.
Have a good one, Cody. I feel like... Okay.
It's more than time. Justice with time.
I understand, I guess, looking back, if I try to look at this not from a fan perspective, if you want to have a clean product, you want to have control over your sound mixing. And so, if these are characters that, you know, nobody's seen recently and therefore their voices aren't clearly remembered, then, you know, it's just like, okay, we'll just replace them with different voices.
Yeah, so today's Barbara Goodson's birthday.
Happy birthday to Barbara Goodson. We're sorry we watched somebody try to mimic your voice on your birthday. Aw.
Also, apparently James Earl Jones sounded different in The Lion King too.
Fair enough.
Or the remake, excuse me.
Yeah. Well, that happens. Yes, voices do change over time.
Also, James Earl Jones has reached that, like, 70, 80-year-old mark.
That's true.
At this point, where he's starting to become creaky.
If it was a legal issue, I'd be interested in learning more about it, because I can't imagine what the legal issue would be at this point. Because...
Aside from potentially the inability to extricate the dialogue from music that was owned by someone else.
But they should have all the music. They should have the entire franchise, and that should include the music this time around. Or at least I thought that was included in the deal. I'm pretty sure we got... I would need to double check the previous episode, but I'm pretty sure we got the Dino Charge music in the Dino Charge team-up.
They should have shown Zeltrax so Snide could comment on his appearance.
That's true. Alright, so I'm going to explain to you the thing about New Goldar.
Okay.
And the origin of Snide.
Okay.
Snide, his suit was not from the main series of Kyoryuger.
Okay.
When it got adapted into Dino Charge. His suit is from the same team-up movie that this Goldar suit is from.
I see.
From the team-up between from the Kyoryuger versus Go Busters. So, and the reason that he was that he was included was because these were resurrected versions of Goldar and Zeltrax. Snide is a redesigned version of Zeltrax, in the same way that this is a redesigned version of Goldar. And if you think back to what Zeltrax looks like,
yes,
Snide looks a lot like Zeltrax.
He does.
And that's the big reason they had to bring back Snide for this.
A high note for tonight, Dino Fury has been cleared to begin filming.
Yeah, I've seen. So that's going to be good.
Safety restrictions still apply.
Yes.
As well
I believe, they'll be starting right at the beginning, they'll be starting right in October, which is pretty standard. They usually head down there in September, get started in earnest in October. So we're looking good to get things out, you know, by March or whenever they end up premiering.
Yeah.
It varies from February to March, but I'm assuming probably more March, simply because that's when Beast Morphers premiered, and that's when, and they're less likely to go for earlier, considering the current circumstances.
People keep bugging Simon Bennett about it, even though he's asked people to.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, don't bother the showrunner on Twitter if he's made clear he's not talking about the show on Twitter. Also, just in general, the people who create the show can't tell you any secrets about the show.
They're
on
under
Twitter.
contract.
They're on contract. They might be able to talk about their previous experiences, but that is
They
again,
cannot talk about the future.
that's up to their discretion and whether or not they're still under
still
NDAs for what they did.
And whether or not they're still working there. Because sometimes you maybe don't want to tell that story because
Right.
you could lose your job.
Right. But I would love to find out more about
Even without NDAs, sometimes. Obviously, they're going
Simon
to have
Bennett's
NDAs for a lot of things.
experiences.
Like,
with
it wouldn't do for
the
them
rest
to go
of things.
spoiling their own show.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're under NDAs for that.
But yeah, it's funny how many questions people have for producers and writers and directors that people should know by now just aren't going to be answered. Try to focus on stuff they've done in the past. If they're in a scenario they're willing to talk about.
Like, there are questions that people have asked people at cons where it's just been like, look, I'm not comfortable discussing that.
Yeah, but you can ask what was your favorite experience, on this past thing, or what was your or what got you into this field in this way.
Nick's
Those
gonna
are
have a
appropriate
marathon
things
on Power Rangers
again
Day.
for when they are willing to answer questions.
Yeah.
And yes, I did see that they'll be rerunning the first 8 or 9 episodes of Beast Morphers Season 2 on Friday, August 28th.
I mean,
It'll be in the afternoon.
Obviously, more open-ended questions are always better than targeted ones because then they can answer them with something they are comfortable about talking about.
Right.
They're not comfortable about talking about some things.
But now I definitely see why people said, watch this episode before the next episode, because it's the only way things are going to make sense. It was nice to have a villain focus episode. I like the villain focus clip show concept.
Did we cut out? Or was it just rotisserie?
I don't know. I liked that approach when we had Party Monsters back in the first season of Samurai. I like the idea of the villain clip show because it gives them a highlight that they don't normally get. But yeah, this was very similar to Legacy of Power, just much stripped down version.
Yes.
Focused on highlighting a few villains from the past, which was nice. I liked that conceptually. Really, the biggest issue that I had was with the dubbing.
Alright, Con and Ranger Vision are still able to hear us, so I think we're good.
Yeah. And that's something where it's disappointing because, I love those classic voices. Anything that's different from those classic voices is going to sound jarring because you have a clear, sound image of what these characters sound like.
And that ain't it, kid.
And if it's something different, then it's going to be jarring. And I recognize kids don't have those same connections that we do. So it's going to be less noticeable for them. And if there are legal issues, I get it. You got to do what you got to do. I just want to know why. I want to know what those issues were. And if it was just, we wanted the sound, we wanted it to be a smooth transitions in the sound, and we couldn't do that because we didn't have the masters.
Then you're going to be disappointed.
Then, well, I would say I understand, but I disagree with your creative choice on that. Because I think that those classic voices, those were really well-honed character voices. And you can't quite recreate that. In the same, these actors worked with these characters a lot. They defined these characters. They defined those voices. And unless you are a tremendous vocal mimic, you're not going to have that same amount of character for a voiceover gig you're doing for just 2 lines, generally speaking.
Let's put it this way, the kind of vocal mimic they needed was clearly outside their budget.
Yes. And it's a shame. You know, I'm not. I don't want to like, you know,
I mean, they're not bad people.
insult the people who you know who they brought in to do the voices. Those people were just doing the job.
Yeah, Sir Paladin, I don't know either, dude.
But that was something that was just really noticeable. This
I mean, they could have
episode,
hired the OG
unfortunately.
actors for a lot of these cases, but Axelrod is no longer with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Zed was not going to get redone correctly.
Yeah, they're
You had to use the original.
yeah, they disappointing. But I like that they had a rationale for why the resurrected Goldar suit looked different.
Because we used diamonds.
And I like that they
Even
used
better
that
than
as the
before.
driving, you know, as the driving plot of the episode with the Ranger side of things. And the Rangers were largely kept in the background for this, because it was a villain-focused episode. I found that to
I'm
be
okay
fine.
with that.
I liked we got a little... It's always nice to see Muriel pop up, doing the news. It was a bit odd to see Sledge and his crew destroyed so
Again?
unceremoniously, again. Especially since they were brought back last episode and they
The
kept...
show should be Union at this point. Dude, it should have been Union from go, but, you know,
Yeah.
Saban likes money.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, the reasons these shows are not Union is because being Union would require them to pay the actors correctly. And what was it that some of the Lady Morphin people said? They
wait.
could have, like, made more working at McDonald's?
Yeah. Devious, was that actually Thrax's voice actor that they got to cover Zed? Because if so, that's at least a nice touch. Like I haven't checked over who voiced who.
Yeah, because we just finished watching.
For this episode, but I'd be interested in any more
Yeah,
details.
Screen
on
Actors
that.
Guild, totally a thing.
Yeah.
But this show doesn't actually SAG.
Yeah.
It doesn't respect the SAG. Does not use the SAG. Well,
Yeah.
The SAG is used as part of, you know, the whole filming in New Zealand thing. 'Cause I don't think they
Interesting.
can get away with it anymore. It was Austin St. John who said he could have made more at McDonald's. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's part of not being a union show.
Yeah. It's
If they were in a union show, trust me, they would have made more than McDonald's even for a kids show.
It's unfortunate that
They would have at least made, you know, Office Minion levels of money.
okay, that was your speculation. All right, I'd be interested in researching that because that would be a really cool little tidbit if it were true.
Yeah, kind of like the one someone mentioned earlier about Rita being Mystic Mother.
Like I doubt I could believe it on the Mystic Mother one. I doubt that they used Thrax for Zed, but that would be interesting. The Goldar voice also, it's not a great match for Kerrigan Mahan.
He was still living in his car?
It was rough. It was rough for those actors. There's a reason that they left the show.
I mean, I'd leave too if I had a job that made me live in my car.
I love Power Rangers. But I recognize that while it was something that was conceived of as a shoestring budget kind of show,
you still gotta pay your actors enough to live.
there's a lot of things in the show that are deeply problematic, especially from a workers' rights perspective.
Oh.
So I
mean, let's not even get into the whole hostile work environment thing.
yeah. There are definitely many aspects of Power Rangers from a working environment perspective that could be done better. The show itself, I think, is a show that a lot of people love working on because of the show that it is, not because of the environment that it breeds, which is unfortunate. It would be great if it was a better working environment.
It sounds to me like underpaid tech week for 2 years.
Yeah. Like, if you're working on something you love, that's great. But it shouldn't be at the expense of you know, having a proper living wage, you know, your mental health, your emotional health. And if it is something for you that is just a job, I imagine it to be brutal for those people. And I feel very bad that those people
don't know
don't
that
have
that's going to be something...
better circumstances.
Yes, that's what I was talking about, Sheree, when I said hostile work environment.
Yes.
Because David Yost was brutally bullied.
And there have been, and considering the show has been going on for 27 years, or just like almost 27 years, it will be in just under 2 weeks.
No, it's not impossible for the show
Yeah.
to be union. It's just that it isn't.
Yeah.
There's nothing preventing it from being union other than the fact that doing so would cost them money.
Yes. You know, and
I mean, even though, as far as I understand it, nobody's living in their car at this point because
yeah.
they keep porting them over to New Zealand and putting them up somewhere
Right.
the whole time they're doing that. So obviously they have some place to live, but it's still not great.
Yeah. It's
Yes, they did write off Billy by giving him a wife.
yeah.
After he left the show, by the way, that old guy in old makeup was not.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
Was
course.
not Billy. Was not David Yost.
He wasn't in old makeup. They just got a guy who was actually that old.
Oh, okay.
They may have grayed his hair some more. But I think that was a bit.
Yeah, old Billy was not David Yost.
Yeah. But yeah.
And it's true. Not just because the actor is gay doesn't mean the character is. So
Yeah.
it isn't actually so awful to have the character be straight.
I mean, the character had been in multiple romantic relationships with
The
female
problem
characters
is
throughout
mostly
the series.
the behind the scenes stuff.
Yes. One thing that I do like, though, is that it does seem like when people leave the show, after having that often rough experience, they do seem to have very good experiences with bonding with other actors. It has become such a big family for the actors as well.
In some ways, I think it kind of has to at this
Yeah.
point because they're transplanting them all to wherever they're filming, and like I said,
Well, not
putting
just
them
within their own casts, but
okay.
across casts. It's become a very broad support network as a result.
Yes, gay rights are human rights. Yes, they
Indeed.
are.
So these
David
are all.
Yost has not watched the episode in which they wrote him off, and that's a power move.
That's
Yes, it
fair.
is.
That is
And he doesn't ever
very
have to watch
legit.
it because
You know, as much as what I would love, and
Billy
and
and him.
I think the way that a lot of people would phrase it is, oh, I'd love it if Billy could come back. But more so, I think beyond that, I would love for Power Rangers to become the kind of working environment where David Yost would feel comfortable returning and enjoy the experience of coming back. That's what I want for Power Rangers.
Yeah, it's not that anyone wants it. I think that's the important thing. Is
Yeah.
that while we would love to see Billy back, because, I mean, I stopped watching when Billy left. Billy was my boy. I loved Billy. Billy was
Yes.
my first TV crush.
Yes.
It would be something that it would not be fair to ask of him unless they made an awful lot of changes. And
Yeah.
it would be great if they made those changes because he deserves it.
Yeah. And I do think that right now things are, from what I gather, you know, better
Also,
than they
not
were.
the first guy I had a crush on who turned out to be gay.
You eventually you
Eventually, I picked a
you
straight
got
one.
eventually you got it right on that one.
I had to go to musical theater to find one.
But yeah, he said that he would be
He'd be
open
open.
to potentially returning at this point.
I mean,
That's good.
it's
It's
changed
been
hands multiple times.
Yeah.
He's probably talked to someone, because he has been to the conventions.
and there are different people running it, and just it's changed hands
Obviously,
so many
you'd
times.
probably want to keep him far away from certain co-cast members.
Yeah.
You know, because even if you got rid of the producers that were bullying, you would also not want to put him back in a room with the co-cast members that were bullies.
Yeah. But yeah, this episode brought up a lot of interesting discussion about the labor practices of Power Rangers, which I was not expecting from a clip show. I knew this was going to be a clip show. I was not
He'd be willing to come
expecting
back,
this.
but not as a cameo,
He
as
wa-
a team mentor.
He would want it to be a proper job. Which
And that's fair.
yeah, that's very
Especially,
fair.
And under the New Zealand working conditions, like I said, they put them up someplace, so
Yeah.
it's not like you wind up living in your car.
I mean, I would also like that. I would take whatever.
Jake, you would take a cameo.
I would, so long as it was something that, you know, I could actually afford to go do, then I would want to do
If I
anything.
recall
with Power
correctly,
Rangers.
yes. I forget who, though.
Yeah. Yeah, from what I gather, the cast was, he got along mostly well with the cast, and it was more so production team members. I would love so much to work on Power Rangers.
Okay, so
despite
I
all of its issues, it's just the nature of the show itself.
Make that man
is
an
so
executive
fascinating
producer.
to me.
Which man? Yost or Jake? I'll take either one.
Same.
We need a cameo in the upcoming Pierre movie.
But yeah, actually, you know what? There is one other thing, separate from everything else, that did feel a bit off about this episode. And that's the fact that Sledge and his crew were destroyed in an episode that did not feature
A bomb!
or any of the Dino Charge team.
That too.
That feels that's honestly one of the things that felt the strangest about this, that they were just not involved in their destruction at all this time. At least last time they got blown up, Coda was there. But this time, no, none of the team was there for them getting destroyed. The Beast Morphers team was just able to take out 4 of them in one go.
And then Goldar went, and he was gone.
Yeah. Now I can get the whole Goldar.
Jake would love to be a creative consultant. Are you kidding me?
I have made efforts towards that, honestly. I have.
They were fruitless, but he tried.
The timing has never been right, unfortunately.
No.
I've attempted to reach out in various regards, and it's tough because the show is always changing hands in different ways.
Sometimes
whether it's
you
a
may
change,
find yourself in the good graces of someone, and then they leave.
Yeah. We had, in the course of just a few years, the franchise was bought by a different company. One of our executive producers left. One of our co-producer then left. And now the showrunner is changing hands. So, the control of the show, who actually gets to make the decisions,
I wouldn't say he
keeps kind of shifting.
They said you have Becca Barnes' ear. I wouldn't. Not really.
We're friendly, but
not in that way.
Just because you're friendly with someone doesn't mean that they can get you a job, and doesn't mean that they are in a position to advocate for you to have a job.
Or that's even something that they really want to do.
Yeah.
They may just like being friendly with you.
Yeah. There are certain.
I mean, Jake also really likes a lot of her work that has nothing to do with Power Rangers.
I love her little stop motion bits that she does. For
she has these really they're like claymation kind of thing.
It's very cute.
And
and quirky.
He's a fan, and she's nice to her fans.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that it probably helps to get feedback. Like, if you actually want to, sometimes people are more receptive when it's not just one franchise of theirs that you're interested in.
Yeah. But she's given me feedback on my writing, which has been really appreciated. So it's and I wish that I could do something to be more of a friend towards her, because it honestly it's very welcoming to be, and by the way, when I say this, don't reach out to show writers and just ask them to read your stuff. This was a separate in-person conversation. Don't think that's something you can just do.
It's usually something where it's better if other people approach you than vice versa. Kind of like the time that Brian Cassattuni chased you down at Morph-X.
Yes. Respect boundaries, I think, is a good theme throughout this. Respect boundaries for Simon Bennett, Becca Barnes, Chip Lynn, anybody.
Everybody.
People like to have their own private lives. Respect their boundaries. If they are open to communications with you, fantastic. If they're not, don't push it. That's just going to make them more hesitant to talk to other people in the future.
It just look around. Sometimes fans can get stalkerish about weird things, and it scares people. And I actually had it happen to me once.
Yeah.
And we're just a web series. I can't imagine how awful it would be.
Yeah.
Like famous people have way too many people trying to get their attention.
Yep.
I just had that one person who was just like, and I was just like,
Just a little bit.
You're nice, but I don't know who you are. I don't know you, and you're way too intimate.
Have I had very mildly, and honestly, people. I tend to. One of the things about me is that, although I'm a very sociable person,
He's oblivious.
I'm not a tremendously social person. So like, people occasionally reach out to me, and I'll just like. Not respond.
Yeah,
Not out of a. Not
I
out
had
of
to
a.
ask this boy out.
And you know, and I don't mean, and I feel bad about it when people like reach out to me asking me things and I don't respond, or somebody puts a question in the comments and I don't respond to it. I'd like to be more responsive. My head is a lot of different places a lot of the time, so not too many fans really get that level of interaction, enough of a level of interaction with me to get creepy. And beyond that, honestly, mostly it's been very positive. Like, you guys have all been very good here in the chat. I think we
Honestly, I think
breed a
the
very
only
good
reason I had
environment
the
here.
one interaction I did have was that somebody also had boundaries with women. And
yeah, and that's a whole different.
That's a whole
thing.
separate thing. People tend to be very respectful of Jake.
Like honestly, if somebody
and his boundaries.
And
also he's oblivious.
If somebody does make me uncomfortable, as far as like messages or whatever, I just don't respond to those messages. Now, no, I also don't respond to messages of people who I actually do intend to talk to.
And I'm like, hey,
and I feel bad about that.
You know we still have a PM on this account. Were you ever going to reply to that? Yeah, I will.
It's part of...
A year later, I'm like, I thought you were going to respond to that.
I'm going to guess that this is part of being on the spectrum for me. I'm not 100% sure, but it is a trait of mine when it comes...
You have an object permanence issue where if you're not looking at the message, it doesn't exist.
I do, a little bit. And that's the way I am with social interaction. I'll be very sociable with people in the moment while I'm talking to them, but then, like, forget to reach out to them or forget to respond to them. When we're not directly speaking.
Like, okay, I think it was like the same day or the day after. We had an interaction before we were dating.
Yes.
In which I was trying to be a toughie, and Jake was just like, you realize you are not intimidating in the slightest?
Yes.
So later I wound up messaging him, and he's like, who is this? And I'm like, I am not intimidating in the slightest. I thought I was being a smart aleck. He had no idea who I was, even though we just had that interaction either earlier that day or the day before.
I don't think it was that same day, but...
Might have been the day before.
I'm not sure how much the time frame was.
It was really close together.
But I didn't realize that it was you.
You thought I was a bot.
I'm like, is somebody going to send me some sort of virus spam? What's going on here? But part of it was also that your screen name was not something that I connected to any person.
Yeah, I had gibberish for a screen name.
You know, a lot of times people would have like screen names that are just a collection of letters of initials for things that are important to them, and that's what your screen name was at the time. But I look at this as, okay, there's somebody with gibberish letters messaging me saying I'm not intimidating in the slightest. I'm like, you're gonna send me a virus. I don't want a virus on my computer.
Actually, how Database met MJ was we were both auditioning for The Crucible.
Yes,
I didn't get a speaking role.
And I was John Proctor. But I remembered you from auditions, and I remembered being disappointed that you didn't get a better role, because I thought you auditioned really well, and that's why I cast you in my next show. In the show that I directed right after that.
Yes, you did. You're coming back up again. Okay. Alright,
hey, Allie.
fine.
There you go, welcome back. Okay.
So that's how we met. Theater.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that we've had fun conversations at Power Morphicon. I wish I could remember them in more detail. I had so many conversations with so many people, and I have trouble connecting exactly who I spoke to. But I'm glad that it was a good conversation.
He's terrible with names.
Sometimes.
So am I.
The thing is that a lot of times it's in
with
circumstances
where
I meet people very quickly, and so I won't register if I'm meeting a bunch of people very quickly.
Like at cons.
But if I am if it's something where I get a chance to read the names, I have the ability to memorize names very well. My trivial knowledge skills are not what they used to be. And a lot of that is because I don't focus on shows the way I used to. I watch a lot of shows while engaging in other activities now. Primarily editing. Or chatting with you guys. So I don't tend to preserve information the same way that I used to. I'm also getting older, so there's that. So if we were like engaging in like a show together where your name is on like a cast list, I'll remember who you are. But otherwise, unless I'm making that effort, it will drift out, and I'm sorry for that.
Shooting footage of people shaking your hand at PMC and someone running off camera into a wall.
That is something that there's stuff that we recorded at a Power Morphicon that has not been seen yet. It will be seen eventually. There's stuff recorded. There were a lot of things that got recorded in very piecemeal fashion that you will be seeing eventually. It's just a matter of getting to it. I have filmed so many things in such a piecemeal way. Like, we finished filming 91, I still need to film some more shots for 90. 92, I filmed multiple shots, like, 4 years ago, before I even wrote 91.
No, we did not do another panel. Jake got some footage.
Yeah, that was a different thing.
At the con. I don't think I was even at that con.
You were not.
I was not at that con.
You were not at that one.
Because I actually have only been to every other PMC.
Yeah. Yeah, our characters of Database and Mayo were named after our respective online handles. But yeah, there was, we've had a couple, it's been really fun to do panels at Power Morphicon, and I'm hoping that whenever the next one happens, we'll be able to do something like that as well.
about doing little cameos for the show.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously there was
I've managed to get some other stuff
the whole
as
business
well.
was running into the wall that you haven't seen yet and anything. But also, if you go back to the PMC episode that we actually did live there, the
that
intro
was a
to
great
that,
episode
Jake
to do.
had some, and it was adorable. I mean, and like that one guy who was calling security, like that was pre-planned with Jake. He didn't actually call security.
Yeah. Well, I think it was ad-libbed, but it was still.
But it was still like.
It was still fun.
Jake had already.
The Ari Boyland one was another very good
Boyland
cameo.
was great.
I love the John Telegen cameo where we just.
John Telegen he was such a good sport about that too.
Yeah. It was a good fit. It was a good fit.
Because he was so lonely at his table, people weren't visiting him that day.
Yeah. A
and
lot of
people should pay attention to the writers when they go to the cons because they're cool people. John Telger wrote the Dr. K episode. Therefore, he is awesome.
No, he wrote for RPM, but he didn't write the Dr. K
didn't?
episode. No, the Dr. K episode, I believe, was Madeline Paxson, if I recall correctly.
Okay, sorry, I'm wrong. But he wrote for RPM.
He did write for RPM. No, he wrote Ocean Alert, and with the character of Nikki Valentina in Power Rangers Dino Thunder, which is the one that he gets recognized for, I think, more than anything.
But Aaron Boyland actually did like 2 or 3 takes of that.
Yeah, we did a few different takes.
That we did with him. So like he was totally like an awesome sport about that. You know.
Because we wanted to try and find the right reaction for him.
And then you got like 2 passes at the SPD table to make sure you got the
something
the
like that. I want to say.
But
I was just grabbing
busy, so they could
footage
just do
wherever I
handshakes,
could in that on that.
And some cosplayers made it in there too. Like the guy who was cosplaying his own SPD Ranger, who was hugging you like really tight.
Yeah.
That was a funny shot.
But yeah, so many any fan interactions that have been awkward have been short.
Crew, it was in the director.
Well, no.
The showrunner.
In the showrunner.
In the showrunner.
Which did lead to some change in the writers as well.
Yes.
They did lose several writers when they lost the showrunner.
Did he compliment me on my Dr. K costume? Yes.
Yes. Everyone from RPM that we have met have loved the Dr. K costume.
Mike Chen was not impressed.
No.
No. Everybody else was pretty impressed. He was very busy.
Oh, okay.
He was kind of like, I don't know what was going on with him. He was at his table. He didn't want to talk, so I just moved on to whatchamacallit, right next door.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. Lee Min Hyo.
She was a doll.
Yeah. All right. So.
Could you do a con paddle with the status quo review of Beast Morphers episode?
I mean, I'm hoping that anything that we would plan for a future Power Morphicon is very much in flux right now, depending upon what even happens with Power Morphicon next.
Which cast members have we met?
Most.
I mean, you go to the cons. You can visit most of them at their tables and say hi.
I've met a lot of
most
actors
of them don't have
at
time
Power
for a very
Morphicon.
long conversation, but if there's nobody behind you in line, they'll talk for a while. Like, that's how we got so much time with Eric.
I've been on staff for several years with Power Morphicon, so I often do guest wrangling. So
Jake's met way more than I have.
I've met most of those actors
but
just
you don't have
very
a long
briefly.
conversation
It's
with
along the
them
lines
when
of,
you're like,
"Hey,
you're doing
great
this
to
room.
see you here. You need to get down there immediately." It's great to see you again. Big fan.
Hi, yes.
Gotta
You're
move
supposed
along.
to be in panel
I
room
loved
2
you in this
5
episode.
minutes.
You got to get moving. Good to see you. Just wanted to say you did a great job with this. So it's always just quick, short, pleasant interactions.
Like, the longer conversations have always been, like, resulting from, like, something outside of your job. Like,
yes.
Being able to take the time to visit someone at their actual table when they don't have a line. Or that one time
I ran into, like, Jason Font and guided and showed him where the Power Breakfast was happening.
I was gonna say the one that did lead to a longer conversation where it was somewhat related to your job was the time that 2 actors wound up getting you temporarily fired, so they took you to the bar.
That was not Paul Schreier and Jason Narvey did treat me to drinks at the Panda Express across the street to make up for getting me temporarily kicked off the staff due to their pie fight.
They caused damage to the hotel.
Oh yeah, I put some miles on my Fitbit during that last Power Morphicon. I was doing circuits, just running around to all the tables to make sure the guests were getting to their panels.
Hi. Hi.
But yeah, all of the Power Rangers actors have just been, in general, a delight.
In general, yeah.
You know, they are by and large just very happy to see that they have such a dedicated
to your
fan
comment?
base. Oh, what was this?
Could we do another panel?
Could we do like I was saying before? Sorry, I
sidetracked him.
You sidetracked.
That's my fault. Go for it.
It would depend upon what ends up happening with the next Power Morphicon or other Power Morphicons in the future. It'd be really hard to say what we would do as far as future panels right now, simply because of the combination of timing and the structure of the convention itself. If we have that ability, it would be great.
I mean, it's certainly something we'd be open to. We'd find something we could do if someone wanted to have us.
You're not always able to make it.
But I only make it to every other con. And also, the show is wrapping up, so whatever we did would be...
Yeah, well, they were saying...
Specifically for the con.
If they were saying that it could be something that would be...
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
A post.
And whatever it would be specifically for the con.
Yeah.
So it would be...
I do have like 1 or 2 episodes that I think would be great to premiere at Power Morphicon if possible, but that would be really circumstantial that would be really dependent upon when the con is, what my level of involvement is with the con, what they're willing to allow, you know. There's so many different factors that would need to go into something like that happening.
I mean, because
we were very fortunate that we were able to have our Power Morphicon episode. And part of that is I planned for, one, I had worked it out in advance, it almost didn't happen, and then we got onto the schedule. If it hadn't happened, I had planned to just film a fake live show without an audience, and that would have been what we used. But since we were able to do the live show, we used the live show.
Yeah, we did get pulled into Andre's little tent that one time, that's true.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yep. Yep,
Um,
he was just grabbing people off the con floor.
Yeah.
That day.
We've gotten some nice interviews. It's been good times. I'm hoping that we have another. I'm hoping that whenever Power Morphicon happens again, that it'll be a good experience. I know that there's been a lot of administrative and organizational issues that I hope
and
can get squared away.
Jake has never been higher on staff than bottom level minion, so
Like I was the.
Doesn't have any ability.
I was the second. I was the second in command to the events coordinator, but really,
But there was no one below you.
Yeah, I didn't. There was nobody below me. I was the only person who he had to help him.
Yeah, and that's how come you've met so many actors while just running by going, you need to be here in 5 minutes, you need to be there in 5 minutes, and you need to be there in 5 minutes, and I need to go tell 10 more people.
And people, and and I do keep trying to get more involved. It's just been difficult.
Robbie did show some great
been a
detective skills in discovering where the next diamond robbery would be. Thank you for bringing us back on topic, Spencer.
But yes, this did end up leading to, we ended up having a lot more discussion in this live stream than I think we were expecting to for a clip show episode.
That's because we got sidetracked on PMC.
That's true. Well, we got to talking about actors a lot because of
the dubs.
Because of the dubs.
Dubs were so terrible. And it's not like these actors are hard to find.
Well, some of them. But
I mean, some of them are, no longer with us. But
yes. But we have set things up for some fun. That was not a Power Morphicon. That was something that sort of kind of happened. There was an incident where someone was armed at a convention that Jason David Frank was at. I don't.
But it was not a PMC.
It was not at Power Morphicon, and the exact nature of that incident I'm a little fuzzy on, so I don't want to.
All we can say is not at Power Morphicon they didn't.
I don't want to make any claims about it.
One nerf was theft on robbing places in alphabetical order. Yeah, that does seem like a pretty weak point in the plan.
That is
probably just going through the phone book under D for diamonds.
Dude, just use Google Maps.
They did not pick Lord Zed to bring back because he could backstab them, but Sprousel went on about it. It sounded like he was spinning the issue into implying Lord Zed.
Something. It was because he was mean to robots. That was the thing that Sprousel didn't like. That Lord Zed was mean to robots.
I mean, he was. He had that whole issue with the Machine Empire.
Yeah, which I thought was a nice touch, and it's one of the first times the show has ever acknowledged that.
Now I get what robotist means.
That's what he was referring to before.
They were saying, like, racist against robots, robotist. That
yes.
I was like, he doesn't make robots. What do you mean a robotist?
I know.
I get it.
You were thinking of a roboticist.
Yes, I was.
As opposed to a robotist.
But wouldn't a robotist be into robot superiority? So wouldn't he be like an organist or something? Because he thinks organic people are more important than robots?
I think an organist would be the Phantom of the Opera. Okay. And hopefully you guys will be able to have more adventures with the Phantom before this year is out.
Yeah, we're hoping to get up through 93 before we run into we can't film because of plague problems.
Yes. Yeah, my hope is that I have several episodes that I'm hoping can still be released during the school year. But we'll see. It is looking like the school year is going to be very time intensive for me because it is going to be a mix of
in-class video teaching.
And virtual teaching. And doing both of those is going to be time intensive.
A robot selling flowers. It's a robot florist or robotist.
Oh. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. Once I as I continue to get more of an idea of what I'll be able to release and when, I do have a release schedule in mind for the final episodes of Power Reviews, but I really want to see how I'm doing on 90 before I really make any claims.
Yeah, and of course all of this relies on us being safe to film again next summer.
Yeah. There's a few things that we're going to be shooting in the next week, and hope to shoot in the next week. That
we got some voiceovers
in the next
to
2
get
weeks.
from one person.
If I can get the stuff filmed in the next week and a half that I'm looking to get in the next week and a half, then things are going to look good. If not, it's going to be a lot of trouble trying to get those things done because it would be during the school year. So yes, good night to everyone who stuck around with us throughout this quite long stream. We have
run over by about 22 minutes.
These streams have been so long.
Not as long as the ones where we were watching full-length movies, but yeah.
But we appreciate people joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time.
On Saturday.
On Saturday again. And let's get to our closing non-controversial statements. Statements that should be considered non-controversial by everyone out there, non-political by everyone out there, equally so. So, say them with me, chat. Number one, love is love. Number two, trans rights are human rights. And number three, robots are cool. Don't be a robotist. So, with all that, thank you again, and everyone, get some sleep, have a great night. We'll see you next Saturday, and until then, farewell, Ranger fans, and let the power protect you. Don't you recognize my voice? It's me, Vengeance. That was